In Singapore, we are already Roja, mixed roots, shared lives. Over Mughir Joll, I sit with Imran Taib to talk faith, culture, and why dialogue isn't about agreement, it's about understanding. I'm Chris Choo, and this is HOTPLATE SG60. Welcome to HOTPLATE SG60. So you founded the Dialogue Center, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I founded two organizations. One is Center for Interfaith Understanding, and the second one is Dialogue Center.
What are the activities of both of them?
So for Center for Interfaith Understanding, or CIFU, which we call SIFU in short.
I like that. It's like
Sifu. So it's Sifu, not Shifu. It was purposely registered as an interfaith organization. There's a lot of interfaith work that has been going on in Singapore for decades. And one of the oldest still active interfaith organizations in the world is actually here in Singapore.
Wow.
Is the Interreligious Organization, or IRO in short. So it was constituted in 1949, way before our independence, yeah. And it's still very active now. So I gathered a few friends from different faith backgrounds. And we also position ourselves as an inclusive interfaith organization. That means we don't represent any religion per se, but we come with our own faith background. And that includes also people of no faith. So we work closely with humanist society, for example, people who claim to be agnostics, atheists, free thinkers. For us, anyone who is interested in deepening understanding and building goodwill and relations, manage the diversity that we have around us, they are welcome.
What is the objective of interfaith dialogue? Why do you need it at all?
We are living in a very diverse society, different ethnicity, and even different contexts in which they grew up or they were born in, right? So a lot of this diversity are less understood by those who have not been through a certain experience, and therefore dialogues actually bridge the gap between understanding and the diversity that we see. They begin to discard a lot of prejudices or the stereotypes that they might have, and at the same time also it builds friendship and goodwill. So I think interfaith dialogues are very important in any diverse society, and Singapore is no different.
Do you think this could be a double-edged sword? Meaning that religion is a very deep subject. It's very difficult to summarize. It's difficult to present it like in a nutshell. It's not. It's something deep. It's something that people spend years studying.
Yeah.
And then you try and summarize it and say, this is it.
Yeah.
It heightens perhaps the cliche, it heightens the...
Well, I do agree with you. And that's precisely where interreligious dialogues might have its shortcomings. For me personally, I come from this perspective that religions don't dialogue with each other, because religion is just an abstract concept, right? But people do dialogue with each other. And people's religious views are very personal and variegated, very diverse, and they might say that they belong to the same faith tradition, but they probably have many different views, perspectives, because a lot of our religious views, to be honest, are actually shaped by our own context. If you look at major religious traditions of the world, they are not a monolithic entity. I prefer a very personal dialogue between individuals of faith rather than representational form of dialogue.
Sorry, I was just wondering, why don't, rather than say it's interreligious or interfaith, why don't you say it's intercultural with a faith element?
Yeah, that could be possible. I think culture is a broader concept, encapsulates maybe your ethnic background, it encapsulates your faith background.
Yeah.
But at least in religious studies, many sectors are moving away from this idea of interreligious dialogue, because religion is very difficult to be defined.
Yes.
Which you correctly mentioned, right? That's why people are talking about faith now, because faith is deeply personal. So it's interfaith rather than interreligious.
Yes.
The inter dimension is very important to me, because a lot of times we are just having multi-faith dialogue. People are just happy sharing their own point of view about their faith, but where is that inter element?
Correct.
Where you actually listen, and through that listening, you actually question your own assumptions, and you grow in the process of that dialogue, rather than you just sharing your faith, the other person sharing their faith, and then that's it.
Yes.
Where is that inter element where you actually learn something and shapes a new perspective out of that conversation with that person. I believe that sometimes we should move away from just a talk shop, right? Yeah, we just talk to each other and then that's it. How does that conversation actually move us to do something for the good of society?
Actually, how?
I may actually be inspired by the values that my interlocutor might have. And that might even strengthen my own sense of duty to actually create a better world, a better society out there. And we can work together despite our differences in Singapore. You walk down the streets, you see temples, churches, mosques. You smell it in the aroma of the incense and all that. So you see, you smell, and you hear the bells, you hear the azan or the Muslim call of prayer. But it does not seem to prick our curiosity of wanting to understand and know deeper what we see, because we live in a very compact environment and multicultural society. This is something we are so familiar with. But then when I speak to friends, right, many of them do not really understand the faith of their neighbors.
But different faiths, right? So say a Buddhist. I'd be very willing to discuss Buddhism or Hinduism. It's a polytheistic, right? So it's very difficult to offend, right? But if I were to talk to an evangelical, it's like, what can I say? Maybe it's the press. I don't know. I'm just like, well, if I say this, would I offend?
So that is, I think, part of the problem. Firstly, we assume that our differences are so irreconcilable that there's nothing in common between us. So that is the first assumption that makes us not feel that we need to talk to the other person because we have nothing in common. Or these are polytheistic religion, whereas mine is a monotheistic religion. But even these categories are actually questionable, right? I mean, for example, if you look through history, you find the one that built the Taj Mahal, Shah Jahan, right? His son, Prince Darashikoh, he wrote a treatise, Majmul Bahrain, which is the intermingling of two oceans. And he talks favorably of Hinduism and find affinity with Islamic concepts. So it's not as though that the Dharmic tradition is so far apart from the Semitic or Abrahamic faiths.
I totally agree with you. But in Singapore, if I see a Muslim or a Malay person, I wouldn't openly discuss with him because of, I'm afraid I might.
So that's the second point about this idea that we are afraid to offend the others, right? Because if you were to say something wrong, the other gets offended, and then the first thing that happens is they will call the police or they will put it online and then it goes viral, it turns bad, right? So people may have genuine curiosity and questions, but they keep it to themselves because they are worried that it might come out the wrong way. So we have not built that muscle to actually discuss sensitive as well as issues that we feel are very different from us.
Is it because certain religions have bad press and have been niched into extremism or whatever, and then it's like, oh gosh, what if I, it's like I can't. Nobody can talk about this,
Unfortunately, I think that's one of the factors. Due to certain political environment, religion has been weaponized by certain sectors to actually convey or mobilize people towards a certain political goals or ends. And that's where people get hypersensitive, right? And also because of historical baggages also. I mean, for Muslim societies, I'll be frank that we still live in the shadows of colonialism, right? Where you find that your culture, your tradition, your belief system has been dominated and being ridiculed, pushed aside, that they felt that they need to now stand up for the religion. So this kind of siege mentality has developed. And it's a form of insecurity, actually. The anxieties and fear that translate into sensitivities that are played up, and especially in today's political environment, right? That's where my dialogue center comes in, where we actually train people how to have a conversation over sensitive issues, but without the effect of the polarizing effect. Those kind of conversations eventually end up with, look, we are not trying to make everyone the same. We are not trying to make everyone agree to a particular thing, but we just want to build that muscle of how we talk about differences without polarizing or without ending up in conflict. Sometimes we get that training through our everyday lives, right? We've been living with our differences for generations, but somehow along the way we have retreated into our own silos. What happened?
Yeah, it's really interesting because in my grandmother's days, right? You know the kampung days, right? All over Southeast Asia, the form of Islam that was practiced was Sufism, which was more syncretic, more understanding, right? Than some of the more fundamentalist approaches to Islam. And the Chinese and the Malays all had common ground, in terms of religion. I mean, there wasn't true syncretism, but it went beyond tolerating. There was no antagonism. But nowadays, because of the fundamentalism of many of the faiths, not only Islam, but Christianity or whatever, you really, it's so difficult to come together and speak, right?
Yep. I've heard this kind of comments quite a lot actually. People say, oh, in the past we used to be okay, even dining together, sitting down together, eating, and you may eat your food, which my dietary laws prohibits, but that doesn't stop us from mingling and being together, right? And also, I've noticed that in the past there's a lot more expressions of syncretism. Amongst the Chinese traditions. When I grew up, my father used to bring me to this Chinese temple that has a keramat in there. Keramat is,
I know what
is a
keramat
venerated person, almost like a saint, right?
Yes.
And it's common in the past.
Yes.
And I was questioning what happened to that tradition, right? And that tradition is still alive in Indonesia, actually. Part of Dialogue Center's program is actually we try to connect with the shared heritage and cultural traditions of the region that is multicultural. So we bring them to different parts of Indonesia, to Cirebon, Semarang. A lot of these are coastal cities that are multicultural and see the expressions of religiosity, culture, tradition there. And see whether that can inspire us to actually look at what we used to have, but what is slowly eroding away because of modernization or even the change in religious orientation, which you mentioned, right? So I think there is value in trying to rethink how we have kind of boxed ourselves in. Sometimes, I mean, when I go to a place of worship of a different tradition, I do feel some kind of connection with the spirituality or the sanctity of that place. And that is something I feel a lot of people have, but it's been taken over by political ends. I mean, like for example, right? You look at what is happening in India right now, where people are just quarreling over sites, whether this belongs to the Hindu or the Muslim. But can we have a different perspective where there is something about that land and its spiritual energy that actually attracts people? And that's why people build temples, mosques, even in Al-Andalus or southern Spain, we used to have...
Look at Jerusalem, right?
Jerusalem
whose holy land is it?
So I think we need to reframe the conversation and not ask, who does this belong to? Why can't it be it's ours rather than it's mine or yours, right? And that is something we have lost along the way because of the need to categorize neatly whether you are Muslim, Christian, Hindu, but when you try to box people in like that, then you have to define clearly the boundaries. And then when you have those boundaries, then you begin to create a false wall and you fail to see the inter-element across. This is where we then begin to quarrel whether it's mine or yours. And it's not just in faith, it's even in culture. People are quarreling whether batik belongs to Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore.
Food, right?
Food especially, But in the past, we recognize that it belongs to us. You see, for example, when I go to Cirebon, Cirebon is a coastal city in West Java. You find the motif of the batik. And it's called Mega Mendung, similar to the clouds of the Chinese paintings, because there is a connection with Chinese civilization and Chinese culture through trade. And this was way before colonialism, way before, where the British or Dutch opens its door and to others. The Chinese presence in Nusantara, in Southeast Asia, stretched for centuries. You find that in the Sulalatu Salatin or the Sejarah Melayu or Malay Annals, talks about, how the ruler of Singapore were sheltering Chinese traders while they are waiting for favorable winds to bring them to the Indian Ocean. But,
not to mention Hang Lipo and
there's intermarriages. Intermarriages is another fascinating thing. I always believe and feel that we need to celebrate hybridity.
Yes.
You know, instead of this whole obsession with purity.
Yes.
I mean, in Malaysia, for example, I'll be frank with you, people are questioning, who is the real Malay, right?
Correct.
What is a real Malay anyway, right?
Yeah.
We all have mixed genetics in us.
Yeah. A lot of people who do their DNA test are surprised
Exactly,
by, what the heck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they think that.
And this is because I think there is a certain problem with a particular way of thinking that has developed since the 16th, 17th century. Is this whole idea of purity in genes, right? And that was the beginning of racism, actually, which has become a global problem now, right? People are obsessed with purity because they feel that once you mix, once you are mixed, then it somehow
dilutes your
power and your strength, and you become weaker.
Yeah.
In reality, it's the opposite.
Correct.
Intermarriages strengthen the genes.
You become physically stronger.
That diversity actually strengthens us. Now we need to reclaim and reposition that narrative.
I really admire what you're doing now that I fully understand. And certainly, if Singapore can move towards that direction and we can actually find the maturity to discuss such interesting and such fundamental issues openly, I think Singapore will be a stronger place.
I do believe, and I think our multiculturalism has been a source of our strength for many decades. Yeah.
Wow. Are you with?
That's Master Shintao. He's a Taiwanese Buddhist monk.
Okay.
Friend of mine, and I learned meditation from him.
Wow.
This was at Lingchu Linchu Mountain in Taiwan. So I went to visit him. I've been friends with him since maybe 2017. I find him to be an important global voice of Buddhism on inter-religious, interfaith dialogues. And in fact, after September 11, he actually initiated Buddhist-Muslim dialogues across the world, in various parts of the world. So I deeply admire his vision for unity, his vision for interfaith harmony. And he has established a museum of world religions in Taipei.
And this?
So this is a lumpia party. So you find across Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Different versions, different way of making it,
Yes.
and maybe different words.
Correct.
But that is that shared heritage that we were talking about, right?
Really, because this is a favorite kind of meal throughout the region, right? In Singapore, popiah.
Yeah, it's an important snack. Dialogue Center runs this program called Sojourners Program.
Yeah.
So Sojourners is basically looking at the cultural communities here that are lesser known and smaller in number. Look, Singapore, because of our CMIO, right? We tend to think in terms of big categories.
Right.
Chinese, Indian, Malay. But within the...
But the O is big, right?
The O is big, yeah. And not just the O, within the C, you have the Hokkiens, you have the Hakka. I mean, Malays also. It's not just Melayu, right? You have the Javanese, you have the Bugis, you have many others.
Yes.
So we want to show that was how Singapore used to be before we try to lump everyone together.
Yes.
But this is where they can actually interact with the musicians.
Yes.
They can have a feel of the instruments. They get an explanation of the philosophy behind the music, the ragas, etc. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm not sure if both or one of them is Jewish, actually.
Okay.
So this is the first time that they observe a kirtan being performed.
Yes.
So this was at Madrasah Al-Junaid, and this was the performance of the Samra, the Yemeni Arab tradition.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's amazing. I mean...
So even we think of Arabs, actually they are quite diverse also.
Yeah.
So this is the Hadramis from Yemen. Yeah. And it was held at Madrasah Al-Junaid, and many of the non-Muslims, that was the first time they stepped foot into a madrasah. This Hindu temple, and we observed the performance of bhajan and the explanations behind it. Yeah. And we get to taste also Indian snacks. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, it's not just Indian snacks, right? That's the problem, right? But they explain that this is from a particular location in different parts of India. Yeah.
Amazing.
So those kind of nuance is what we have lost when we just lump everything together.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like your starting point where, all of us are just like Roja.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great starting point rather than trying to say, we are all different. Now I'm trying to meet
mix,
you in the
yeah.
middle. If
Yeah.
we start like, hey, okay, we're all Roja.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was amazing talking to you. I loved it. Really enlightened me on many things. I really hope and wish fervently that your center achieves what it does, and it'll be so wonderful. It'll just take Singapore to the next level in terms of its harmony. Now we've got to go and cook in the kitchen. Imran,
Yeah.
I'm going to be making a Bangladeshi dish called Mughir Joll.
Mughir Joll came with Bengali migrants, slow cooked in mustard oil, memory and spice. In Singapore, it's still home on a plate.
It's a very simple, interesting chicken curry. It's also a shout out to the numerous Bangladeshi workers who have helped build Singapore
Yes.
and often go unnoticed.
Yes.
First, we've got to make the spice paste. Kashmiri chili. Very nice, sweet flavor. Ginger, garlic cloves, just a bit of water. I'm going to blitz it. Alright, going to blitz it. Okay, that should do it. The mustard oil goes in. Okay. Okay. So this is,
Yeah.
you smell this. This is Nigella seeds. So this is another unique ingredient from that region. So usually in Indian cooking we would use mustard seeds, but this is unique to Bangladeshi cooking. It's got a very nice sweet herby smell. Onions. So we cook down the onions. Now we're adding some potatoes. Salt. Your sugar. The spice paste made out of cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, and star anise. Goes in. Chicken goes in. Green chilies. Okay, this has got to cook for 20 minutes. Imran, this is the Mughir Joll in its finished state. So it's a watery, mild curry. What I'm going to make now, it's a kerabu.
To go with the Mughir Joll, I make a mango kerabu, part Chinese, part Malay, full of bright contrast and a whole lot of kick. Flavors like this happen when cultures share a table.
We're going to start off by making the sauce. Dark soy sauce, some light soy sauce, some dried shrimp, lime juice, gula melaka, onions, shallots, bit of chili as well.
I'm just fascinated by the way you're doing it.
Not enough sugar.
Does it make a difference if you use gula melaka or?
Definitely, gula melaka will give it greater depth of flavor. Now, I'm going to add in some Chinese plum sauce. Add in some crushed kacang. Mix. Yeah, you give it a go. Just stir it. You want to give it a taste? Some grated coconut, kelapa parut.
Do they normally use kelapa parut?
Yes. I mean, who's to say in Southeast Asia, right?
We always
I
experiment.
mean, yeah. So this dish, Mughir Joll, it also usually comes with lots of side dishes. So the way they make it in Bangladesh is that they would take ingredients, usually vegetables, and they would smoke it. I thought the kerabu would go very well with this because it would cut through some of the heat of that. Okay, we're ready to eat, Imran.
Okay.
Imran, hope you're hungry.
Yep.
Let me serve you.
Oh, thank you.
This is actually a Indian rice. It's called Sona Masuri rice, and it goes amazing with curries. A lot of people just think rice is rice, right?
Yep.
But different types of rice taste great with different types of cuisine. I'm going to give you some of this kerabu.
Thank you.
Mughir Joll sauce.
Okay, are you ready to try it?
Yeah. Well, for Muslims, we just recite Bismillah in the
Okay.
name of God.
Yeah, Bismillah.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah. There's a lot of mix of flavors. It's both sweet and also slightly spicy. And there is a lot of texture also in the rice.
So the curry is not hot, right? It's a
No,
pretty mild curry.
but it has a lingering taste.
And you can smell the mustard oil, right? Yeah.
Is it easy to source for the ingredients?
For the curry, easy. You just get Kashmiri chilies. It's not the normal dried chili. It's Kashmiri.
Kashmiri.
It's sweeter,
Sweeter.
and gives you a nice deep flavor.
I've always thought that, food actually brings people together.
Yeah.
I've learned from my Chinese friend, they said in the past, when you meet someone on the street, the first thing you ask, have you eaten? Because food is actually about survival, but it's also communal.
Yeah.
My Malay culture,
Yeah.
food plays a very important role in communal
Yeah.
festivities.
I think every culture,
Yep.
food is part of ritual,
Yep.
right? You have a funeral, you have food. You pray to a god, you offer food. The thing that about good food, it transcends everything.
Transcends
so you have got a guy who can't speak your language, whatever.
Yep.
But the expression on his face is or her face is going to tell you. Yeah, I got
this
it.
is good.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
I recall, how Jesus fed
Yeah.
thousands with a
Yeah.
loaf of bread and some
Yep.
fish. In the Quran, the verse came down to say that food of the people of the book, which means the Jews and the Christians, is halal for you. Even then, at the late stage when Islam has already established itself in Medina,
Yeah.
the barrier towards eating together was lifted.
Yeah.
Jews, Christians, and Muslims.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we've been doing that for centuries.
Yeah. Cheers, Imran.
Cheers. Here's to peace and harmony.
Watch Hot Plate SG60.
Harmony doesn't grow just from eating together, but from listening, asking, and daring to go deeper. Just like a bold curry, layered and spiced with mustard oil, real connection leaves a lasting taste. This is Hot Plate SG60.